welcome to Mysteries with Divina. I am your host, Divina Shea, and today we are going to be talking about another serial killer, an angel of death, Mr. Robert Diaz. Alrighty, Robert Ruben Diaz was born in 1938, exact month and day, unsure, but he was raised in the Midwest. He was one of 13 children. He was ill often as a child, which kept him out of school a lot. Unfortunately, he never finished school. He dropped out in the 10th grade. He eventually joined the United States Marine Corps at the age of 18, but then went AWOL for 6 weeks and was obviously discharged due to his inability to acclimate to military life. He was married in Jacksonville, Florida during 1961, and he was divorced in 1972. Somebody was able to put up with him for, 11 years? By that time, he had decided that it was time to act upon his long-standing desire to be in the medical field. After his divorce, he enrolled in a school for vocational nurses, and at family gatherings thereafter, he insisted that the children introduced him to their friends as Dr. Diaz. Ugh. You know, it's like one of those moments when people tell you didn't see the red flags. This was a red flag. The man was not a doctor, he was a nurse. And a nurse in training. Anyway, he also believed that he was an Egyptian mystic who had been a member of royalty in a former life. Good heavens. By early 1981, Diaz was working his way through several temporary nursing jobs in several Southern California hospitals. Coincidentally, administrators noticed that the older patients had begun to die in record numbers. By the end of April of that year, there were 30 suspicious deaths on file in Los Angeles County and an equal number spread over Riverside and San Bernardino counties. So we're talking maybe 60 possible people that he might have offed. To gather evidence, the coroner exhumed the intercepted patients who had recently died, and he collected tissue samples from them. Autopsies revealed high levels of lidocaine, a drug used to control irregular heartbeats in most of the corpses. While normal readings should have indicated 50 to 100 milligrams, the dead showed 1,000 milligrams or more. That's enough to bring on cardiac arrest, not to save a life. This would be true for 12 patients. A search for common links between the victims demonstrated that a single nurse, good old Dr. Diaz, had worked at each and every institution where abnormal death rates were recorded. Now, before they started investigating him, co-workers had mentioned that Diaz claimed the ability to predict patients' seizures and encouraged co-workers to take meals or breaks early in anticipation of seizures that shift. In at least one case, the predicted seizures did occur. According to his wife, Diaz also spent time staring at the family cat, trying to control it with his mind. Talk about a nutcase. Attention began to focus even more on Diaz after the death of an Estelle Jones, age 62, at Chino Community Hospital. At first, her death had been ascribed to natural causes, but later ruled a homicide, which began the examination of the high mortality rate on Diaz's graveyard shift. A search of the suspect's home turned up a bunch of syringes and bottles of lidocaine. Charges of illegal drug possession were later dismissed. He claimed that he had accidentally brought these things home in the pockets of his lab coat from work. Pretty convenient, wouldn't you say? Now, of course, seeing an opportunity here, Diaz decided that he was going to try to sue for millions of dollars for defamation and civil rights violations, but the judges weren't buying it. On November 24th of 1981, Robert Diaz was arrested on 12 counts of first-degree murder. 11 victims ranging in ages 52 to 89 were killed at Community Hospital of the Valleys in Paris, California, between March 3rd and April 22nd of 1981. Good Lord! That's a lot of people in such a small amount of time. I mean, we're talking like 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, he killed maybe more than 12 people. That's a lot of people. He didn't think anybody would notice? The 12th was a 79-year-old man that died of a lidocaine overdose at San Giorgino Pass Memorial Hospital in Banning on April 25th. So we're talking this whole thing happened within the course of a month. Now, Diaz entered his formal plea innocent on all counts at the end of September 1982. His trial was scheduled to open in March of 1983, but various postponements delayed the event until Halloween. Waiving his right to a trial by jury. What? What an idiot. I mean, he'd had a better chance then than just going with the judge, but I guess. Diaz placed his fate in the hands of a judge who convicted him on all counts on March 29th of 1984. I read in another article that the wife of the judge said that he spent many days walking along the beach just thinking about how he was going to decide on this case. But yeah, I think he'd have been better off trying to do a trial by jury. He probably would have had an easier time convincing or maybe confusing a group of people that he was maybe innocent, guilty. You know, he might have even had a mistrial. You never know. But, you know, you're relying on one judge. Yeah, the outlook wasn't looking too good. No one wanted to be his character witness. I wonder why. Not even his wife or his children. They all believed that based on the evidence presented, he was in fact guilty. Guilty as charged. So, 2 weeks later, on April 11th of 1984, Diaz was sentenced to die in the gas chamber at San Quentin. But he didn't. He didn't go to the gas chamber. He died either in the prison or in a clinic close to the prison. I'm pretty sure he was in a clinic close to the prison. Apparently, he had been ill for a while, but he died of natural causes on August 9th of 2010 at the age of 72, 26 years after he was sent to San Quentin's death row. And that, my friends, marks the end of this serial killer story. It was a short one today. There really wasn't much background information, and since he really only started committing these murders and got caught within a very short period of time, there really wasn't much to go on. But, you know, that's the good thing, right, is that it didn't last as long as it could have. I mean, the man was reckless. So reckless. I don't even think he was trying not to get caught. I mean, he got evidence all over his home and was even, you know, bragging to his coworkers that he knew when people were going to have seizures. Like, he might as well have had a sign that said, "Hey, I'm a murderer," you know, just walking around with him, and maybe should have had a t-shirt that said serial killer. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, now that we finished the story, we can get into the answer to our previous riddle from the Jane Topin story. So the answer to the previous riddle is, the wife had hidden her best jewelry inside her freezer in a bag among all the frozen food. Because of the general power failure, the freezer had gone off. A friendly neighbor who had a key in order to water the plants had tried to be helpful by throwing out all the bad food, and with it went the jewelry. Now for this week's riddle. A man eats dinner, goes up to his bedroom, turns off the lights, and goes to sleep. In the morning, he wakes up and looks outside, horrified at what he sees. He hurls himself out his window to his death. Why does he do this? If you'd like to find out the answer to our riddle, be sure to join us next week. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.